Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rogue Invitational Tailgate Show here at the Dell Diamond Stadium. We're going to have an absolute blast. Again, we keep praying to the weather gods. It's a little cloudy up there, but it's not raining at the moment, and we hope that continues. I'm Pat Sherwood, joined at the desk by Samantha Briggs, former game champion, Brian Friend, knower of all stats CrossFit, and Josh Bridges, who has more event wins than anybody else at the desk right now. Is that fair to say?
Actually, no.
That's not true.
More event wins?
That's only men. That's only men.
Oh, I was going to say that's held
that's
up
not
now.
women.
Oh, I tried to give you a stat.
Way to bring it up, Pat. Why don't
Turns
you
out
just
Sam was
shut
very
your
good at that,
mouth,
too.
pal?
Oh, man, I'm so sorry
I
about
love
that.
that you
Well,
just
hey,
said that.
Maybe you should have tried a bit harder. Sam, you've got 13 I'm hearing through my ear right now. My apologies.
Yeah.
But we've got event number 4 coming up for the women. This is called the 10th inning, and it is 10 rounds of 4 ring muscle-ups, 8 handstand push-ups, and 12 power snatches at 65 pounds. That seems very light and innocent.
Right? A little.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's
maybe.
a trap. Anyone who's been around for a while, fear the light barbell.
Yes.
And fear the thing that doesn't grab your attention right away.
Right. And what we were kind of going with here on the 10th inning is definitely a little homage to the hero workout Nate, right?
Mhm.
Former Navy SEAL. Me and Spieler were talked about this, and we kind of went back and forth. Should we do this 10 rounds? Should we do an AMRAP? You know, Katie and Bill really don't like the AMRAP style in this format, in this setting. So, I think we think 10 rounds was the right number for these athletes. So, that's kind of where the inspiration came from, though, the hero workout Nate, which is a 20-minute AMRAP, 2 muscle-ups, 4 handstand push-ups, 8 kettlebell swings. 8 kettlebell swings.
And so, as you know, the running joke every time we've had you on the show here talking about programming and whatnot is how things are, pretty darn heavy. Somebody had to ratchet it down, or but now we got what seems to be a really light power snatch. Did that evolve over time, or was it, hey, let's work in something light at higher volume?
We definitely wanted light, higher volume, and we wanted to take the subjectivity out of it for the judging. And so a power snatch is a lot easier to judge, we felt like, and so this was a good spot for the lightweight, right? And I think it's going to be deceiving. It's a lot of posterior chain is going to become involved, and then that press out. The press out in the muscle up, the press out in the handstand push up, the press out in the snatch. Those are all going to come into play.
Let me talk to somebody with more event wins. Sam.
Good call.
If you were gonna
Brian.
if you were going to do this workout, it's 10 rounds, 4, 8, 12. What do you see getting broken up? What do you see not getting broken up? What would be going through your head for pacing or strategy?
I think athletes really need to play to their strengths. I think with the longer straps on the rings, athletes who are used to doing more muscle ups unbroken may need to break a lot earlier on those rings, just because of the extra stabilizing you have to do on the longer straps. And I think you'll see some different styles. Some athletes will be touching and going with the light barbell, and others, if they're trying to save that posterior chain, because don't forget, we've got a max deadlift coming up.
Right.
So you might see some people actually doing fast singles or 2s or 3s, something like that, just to give that posterior chain a little break. 10 rounds is a lot of rounds.
Yeah, maybe flash that grip at the top to give yourself a little...
Yeah.
And this is heat 1, but we got some big names here. 3 athletes in this heat alone were in the top 10 at the games this year.
Yeah.
But I want to just...
We even have a podium finisher there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Ariel
That's
Lone,
right.
exactly.
Ariel Lone.
I do want people to just keep an eye on Manu Nangonis. She was 2nd place on the snatch and press workout last year, 3rd place on the one with ring muscle-ups, all 3 of those in combination here. Maybe not as well-known of an athlete, but could potentially excel at some of her strengths.
Quick shout-out, Ariel Lowen, her 30th birthday today.
Hey.
Happy birthday, Ariel.
Happy birthday.
You're
Here's your 10-rounder.
You're out of your 20s. Let's go. This is where the real fitness starts to come in, is in your 30s.
Those gains start to come in.
Yeah. Sam knows. She was killing it in her 30s.
31 when I won the games.
Oh, big deal. MBT? Yeah, me too. I mean, 2nd.
Any time expectation here? I was thinking that 75 to 90 seconds per round is probably sustainable.
So in my mind, when we were starting to do this, I was like, they're going to be right around, I thought more like 65, 70 seconds a round. And then we did the testing with some athletes, and it was definitely a little longer than that. So yeah, I think we're gonna see like top times be around 12 to 13 minutes.
And as we've seen through the first 3 events already, like great times, top 3 times, sometimes winning times can come out of the first heat here with the depth of the field. So
yeah, it's definitely not the same as you know, the games where there's 4 heats, right? 2 heats is definitely different than 4.
Now, when you guys test these things, you know, how close to what we're seeing on the field do you try to replicate? Because what I mean is if maybe you had somebody, you gave them the numbers in the rounds, they did it in their gym, and they had a 2-foot transition versus however many, like this adds up over 10 rounds. So how close do you guys get to do, or do you take that into account? You know, what's the behind the scenes?
You know, when Katie has, I think she had, she actually brought someone into Rogue in Columbus, and so kind of set it up a little more
Katie
similar.
Gave her a shout. I think it was Prevo.
Yeah, Prevo, yes. And so I think she had it set up to where they had the long rings, and then they had a little bit more of the what it would look like on the field to get the more actual testing score that we're going to see.
And Carolyn Prevo, 3-time Rogue athlete.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
I actually spoke to her the other day. She said she had so much fun working on these, testing these out.
She's a stud.
And she didn't like test them like one a day, right? She did a lot of them basically back to back to back. So it was really impressive to hear her scores too.
First time kipping handstand push-ups at Rogue.
Yeah, not strict. Yeah, there's no regulation on the kip, on the handstand push-up. You do it however you feel is necessary. I think I would have probably started out going strict for a while. If not, maintain strict, I think, through this. I don't think I would have need to go to the kip.
No, me neither.
I mean, that's
my goodness.
No need to say that, Pat.
I
We all
couldn't do
know.
unbroken push-ups for 10 rounds like that.
I definitely would have taken full advantage of being allowed to use the kip and just saving those arms for the rest of the workout.
It's the difference between a champion and second place, though. You know what I mean?
And then there's Pat and I just scratching our heads over here.
Exactly. Talking about him.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of as expected. Ariel showed proficiency across everything on this year at the games, but especially in the gymnastics realm and the pacing realm too. Very, very experienced.
I think we're going to be joined shortly here by Katie Henniger, so stand by. Let's see if she pops on. We can bring her into that conversation about testing.
Yeah.
That is Manya Nangonis in the white and red, by the way, if you're not familiar with her.
Okay, yeah. I think in the next heat, you know, my call for this was, you know, other than Tia's like kind of like, oh yeah, Tia's gonna win. But I think Emma Lawson, I think is gonna do well.
One of the best in the field at ring muscle-ups. Won that workout last year here.
Yeah.
And, but the kipping handstand push-ups is pretty fascinating. You know, when I looked at this, I was like, well, those are almost definitely going to be strict. They didn't tell us what they are, and I was waiting to see what version of that would be before kind of making an assessment. As it is now, I do think that someone like that can do it extremely well.
You're lucky that Annie Thorsdotter's not on the desk with us right now, because she was up here yesterday, and she was like, "Don't you ever say somebody's unbeatable." I'm like, I didn't say that. Yeah. We got Katie Henniger joining us right now from Rogue. Katie, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
All right, gotcha.
All right,
gotcha.
hello guys.
Hello.
Let's talk some programming or testing. I heard you guys talking about this a little earlier. We try to replicate this as much as possible. So when Carolyn was testing, we tried to set it up in our warehouse. Not ideal scenario, but we put her in the middle of our warehouse and we had her run this whole thing to the full comp distance. Now when Colton tested, it was at his house, so we couldn't get the full distance, especially on this workout, but we thought it was close enough. We took into account the run at the end of this through the finish. But we try to get it as close as possible and change the time caps where we think we need to.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes sense to see how it actually is going to shake out. And you said previously that Prevo did such an amazing job testing. She's going to be careful before I bring her back again and again. She's just an absolute workhorse.
I mean, it was so crazy. I thought we were going to go all day, and we got like 15 minutes past the first workout. She's like, I'm ready to go in the second. What are we doing? And I looked at her, and I was like, let's do it. And we did like 3 back-to-back. And I mean, after these first couple of workouts, she had really competitive times. And so that's just impressive. But if you look at her day, she's a school teacher. So she's got to really segment out her day where she only has, you know, an hour or a 2-hour block in the middle of the school day or after. And I think that's really cool to look at that way of training and not really having that full set. And she did amazing. She's a pro hockey player, so she's willing to do whatever.
When, awesome. when working with those time caps, are you like cognizant of, I really would like to see most of these athletes finish, or is it more of like, if they can't finish in this time domain, it's all right?
Yeah, and Josh can speak a little bit to this, but we talked about it a lot. Last year we had a couple events where not everyone finished or no one finished at all, and that's not ideal for the athlete and it's not ideal for the spectator. So we didn't get the time caps there wrong. So big focus this year was at least get the majority of the field to finish. We do think there's a couple of these, like you saw last night, they're not going to finish, they're going to cap out, and that's okay. But you really want to see those top times go through.
Yeah, you don't want to see too many people not finish the workout, right? Because then it also skews the rest of the test. Or the event.
Absolutely.
You know, because now you got people who aren't doing the full work capacity that we're asking them to do. So.
Yep, 100%. Katie, much appreciated. I'm sure we'll be checking back in with you a little bit later.
Hey, thanks, guys. And don't let Josh fool you. He wanted to go longer on this one. So
I did. That's right.
We'll keep him in check.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
A couple of those event wins did come on some longer workouts, so no surprise there.
Right, exactly. You know, you got to put these athletes who like to train heavy, they like to go short, they like to go fast. Like, sometimes you got to gruel it out. Sam was one of the best in the game at going long and just keep pushing, having that engine, we would say.
I think, like, with that, it comes down to more mentality. Because a lot of the times, especially with a workout like this, where it's just shorter reps, so you feel like you're actually doing the same thing over and over. And so a lot of the time, it becomes kind of monotonous as an athlete, so it's really staying focused. You can't let that focus drift off, and it's just staying hungry throughout the workout and not just going into it wanting it.
People always ask me a lot of times in these types of workouts, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about this, Sam, but like, they're like, what do you think about when it gets hard? And you're like, and you've been going on already on for like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, I did my best when I had zero thoughts going through my brain. If I wasn't thinking, that's typically when I was doing best. If I started to think about, oh, I'm breathing hard, or oh, I got another couple rounds, or oh, I got to do this, like that's when I started to, like, I don't know, almost fade back a little bit.
Yeah, I think, like, I literally just counted the reps.
Yeah.
That's all I would do. So I would move on to the next movement, and my sole focus was however many reps of that movement was, I was counting the reps.
Yeah, or how I could be more efficient in that movement. I'm like, am I doing something where I can be more efficient? That's all I think about.
This actually, when I look at this workout, I do have some, obviously the Nate registered with me, but some open fields. Like there are 10-round open workouts that all the community do as well. And is it any different when you're coaching an athlete who might not have that elite level experience? Is there a certain round where like get to that round and then it's kind of downhill from there?
For me, I'm always just like, just keep moving, right? None of these movements should stop you in your tracks. Maybe handstand push-ups for some people, maybe muscle-ups. But if you do have to break, it has to be a super short break. Because the longer you rest, the more your brain starts to tell you, you should keep resting. Mm-hmm. You like this position. This is really nice.
You don't need to pick that bar up.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't need to do another rep. You're good.
You've worked really hard up until this point. You don't need to keep working hard.
Yeah.
And Sam, I don't know if you remember, you and I did a version of Kelly together a long time ago. But we did it 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, I want to say. And you used the 20-pound wall ball, same as me. I threw it to the same height target, both jumped in the same box. We made the runs longer to shorter, and you set off at a pace.
Oh, we did it up at HQ.
Yes, you set up on a pace that was obnoxious. It was like my borderline 800-meter lifetime best or 1,200-meter. But I was like, I'm going to stick with her. As soon as we got in, of course, she did her thing, I did my thing. I died, came in so long behind her, it was unbelievable. It was so hard. And at the end, with all the kindness in the world, she was just confused because a normal human asked a cyborg a question. I was like, recovering. I was like, so, we came in after that fast run. How'd you break up the wall balls? She goes, what do you mean?
Right.
I was like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
That was like when they did the Mary at the games, and I remember I actually commentated there, and I'm like, well, you know, I think they're going to start breaking those pull-ups at about, I don't know, maybe round 6, 7, and then like nobody was breaking, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of the game. That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, those. I mean, what Noah and Matt did in that workout.
Oh my gosh.
What Carrie Pierce did, that was
it was
incredible to watch.
It was.
Oh, Carrie Pierce was like, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Speaking of doing strict handstand push-ups when you don't need to.
Right, exactly.
This is pretty much as expected here. Both Ariel and Magnon pulling away from the field, and I both think that both of their times will be competitive, potentially top 5 even against the next heat. So we'll have a pretty good kind of benchmark of what's possible here.
What round are they going into?
It's got to be one of the last
so like
2
9?
rounds.
Yeah, I was thinking 9. I wasn't keeping exact focus on it.
That's not our job over here.
No, that's not. You know, we're just here to BS.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. You were amazing at muscle-ups, and it always seemed to me that your kip would put you into such a good position on top of the rings that you very rarely found yourself in a deep ring dip at the top. You were always like above parallel, which I would think would save your triceps a little bit on something like this than moving on to the ring muscles. Was that just how they worked out for you? Was everyone a conscious effort to just not wind up in a deep ring dip, or am I not remembering history properly here?
No, I think like as an athlete, I'm not a strong presser, but I've got a decent pull. So I use that to my advantage. So I would train that so that obviously that kind of muscle up takes a lot more out of your grip because I'm doing a bigger, harder pull.
Right.
But then because I'm catching higher, I'm saving that press because trying to work to my strengths instead of my weaknesses.
And that might be very handy on an event like this.
Yeah.
We hadn't, talked about it much, but 40 muscle ups, 120 snatches. Does the grip come into play on this
Oh,
one?
for sure. Grip is definitely going to come into play, especially on the snatches. I don't know so much on the muscle up, but I think the snatches is where that grip is going to really start to affect them. Because they're constantly re-gripping, I feel like. They're probably relaxing their hands at the top where they can get that little bit of grip rest. So I do. And we had a few workouts where we were like, wait, we're kind of starting to look at the overall picture, and we had to literally be like, no, we can't do that because there's so much grip involved, and we don't want these athletes to not. We didn't even know the rain was expected, which obviously plays into effect, but
I think that's what people don't also get about programming. It's not difficult to make a hard event.
No.
Like, give them a ton of weight, a ton of reps. That's not a great competition either. You want to ride that beautiful line of presenting an extreme challenge that has the athletes rise to the occasion, but is possible. But they got to dig deep, and that's a tough tightrope to walk. And when you do, you see it play out. You've got a beautiful competition.
Like in the first workout, the run, the Texas Heavy, we actually had some sort of like farmer's carry implement in there for a while, and then we were kind of looking at the overall test, and we're like, no, that needs to go. Like that's one place where that doesn't need to be, and because they have bar muscle-ups, ring muscle-ups, killer cage, so yeah, it is. It's fun. It's fun to do the programming, man. It's so much fun. Sam?
So I think the guys are, Ariel and Mayon are like finishing their 9th round now. I think they're going into
Danny
their
Spiegel there. Did you
last
see that?
round.
Wow, okay.
Sam, you crushed the workout that we did in I think it was the 2020 Rogue Invitational, where it was death by. And it was like
power snatches.
Yes, power snatches. And I was like watching it, and I'm like, she has no idea that she could be done. And I knew you were gonna start that next round, and I loved it. I loved it. It was so awesome to watch. It was so impressive.
You remember how many reps you did?
I know it was a lot of reps.
Yeah, 211. No big deal.
I knew it was a lot of power snatches.
I knew it was a lot.
That was actually Spieler's idea. Every time we've gone into programming, I think Spieler brings up death by, which I love a good death by. But
Chris has a particular obsession with it.
For these athletes, sometimes it's a little much.
I think the online format actually it worked. That was like the best place to have. There were only 6 events that year.
Yeah.
They could have a little bit more, I think some flexibility with 6 compared to 8, 9, or 10 as we've seen in some other years.
It's funny because like when you're at a higher level, right? There's certain CrossFit like original workouts that you just don't mess with.
Nicole.
How about Cindy?
When Nicole, you don't do that one. Cindy, you just keep it up,
Cindy, I got 40 rounds of Cindy.
Oh yeah, you're too good to do that.
I was like, my legs would hurt for like 5 days after. I'm like, I'm not doing this ever
again. If you can do 30 rounds of Cindy, you need to move on to, what's the one that goes for 30 minutes and it's
on the mini.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
And then just add more reps or something.
Yeah. Well, I've actually turned Cindy into more like, sometimes I'll do muscle up, bench press, squat with weight. Weight, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So this might be her last round here.
Yeah, I think this is.
Yeah, 240 is the number.
Yeah.
240 is the total number.
She's got 3 reps left.
Ariel Lone walked in here in 13th place.
Nice job.
But there's not a lot of points separating like 7 through 13.
Okay, so my time was way off. I can't remember what, 16 minutes. That's still, yeah, you were more right, because you were saying, what, like 80 to 90 seconds?
I thought maybe like 15 minutes would be a 5th place. I still think there's someone that might be able to go under that, but Ariel and Magnon, like I said, these are things they're very good at.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously some of the best in the world in Emma Lawson and Tia Toomey that are coming up. So we might see faster times, but I still think those will be good times.
No, those will be great times. I think I was off. I also stopped to forget about transition, right? On the field, the transition's so much farther.
Yeah, they've got, especially the second barbell.
Yeah.
So the last half, the last 5 rounds, they've got a lot more further to transition as well.
And that adds up. I mean, 10 rounds, that adds up. That's like, they're probably taking.
Tell them you better be running out there.
Right?
No walking.
No walking, ladies. No walking.
Throw this little name out there for you before we see the next team too. Emma Carey.
Emma Carey, yeah.
Could be a sneaky contender on this one. It seems like
she's a grinder, man.
She is a grinder. She knows how to go to that place and hurt. I think that because she had to take that year off so early in her career that people kind of forgot about her. But 8th place at the games this year, very good at this type of stuff.
She's not afraid of the dark place.
No, she is not. She is actually, she's my pick for Hulk hands.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Emily
It's a
Rolfe.
good finish for Emily Rolfe, I think, coming back out, obviously, after last night's workout. She'll be happy with this one.
Yeah, that was a bummer to see.
Well, and I do think last night, like, there were a lot of things going on. From just like the not unknown of when we were going to actually go to the elements. It was raining for some heats, not for others. Should I wear grips? Should I not? The athletes were just trying to do the best with it, and you know that's part of the game.
And yeah, exactly. Anytime there's a delay, that's going to mess with people mentally, right? Some people are so. I mean, we're so used to everything just going on schedule, right, on your schedule, and then, oh, hey, we're going to throw in a 30-minute delay, another 30-minute delay, and we kind of extended.
Oh,
so
we're joking. We're going in another.
Kidding. Keep warming up.
And her performances so far, she had a 3rd place, and then she had 2 towards the bottom of the field. But this happens to tons of athletes at Rogue, where you get some great, you get some middle, you get some end. So it's nice to see her have a good one here.
Yeah.
That's a common factor I always felt when I watched the greats like yourself and others compete. I'd throw Rich Froning in there as well, as I thought that tremendous athletes, they had the physical capabilities, but they were also what I would call, they were very compliant, meaning just go with the flow. Like I said, we're going in 10 minutes.
Are you calling me compliant, bro? I don't know how I feel about that.
We're going in an hour now. Okay. Hey, the weight changed. Okay. And it's just like.
I think
okay.
If you let things like that bother you, you're already getting into the wrong sort of mindset. So then if that's already bothering you, you get out onto the floor, you get a no rep, or something happens with the equipment, you're going to self-implode. Whereas you have to go with the flow. You get a no rep, okay, I do another one.
Yeah.
You have to just get on with it. You have to be able to just
not think.
Stay calm.
Don't
and
get
just,
flustered.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
What's been really cool is that a lot of the young athletes, especially on the women's side, are learning that really early.
Yep.
And they're figuring that out, and I think it's part of the reason they're having so much success.
I agree with you. I think it's cool to see that kind of stuff happen, where they get the no reps and they continue to keep moving and not get all worked up over it. You know, being around for the sport for so long, you know, as Sam's saying, like you saw some athletes implode when that kind of stuff happened, or when shit went weird, right? Like it didn't get handled well. Like screens turning off on you in competition, things like that, you know?
Just keep rowing.
Yeah.
By the way, my screen's off.
Yeah. No big deal.
Oh my! I've seen it in the competitions where they'll bring another rower out and they're just like just switch it out between the rounds.
Yep.
You know.
We're going to be joined real soon here by Ariel Lowen, who just won Heat 1.
The birthday girl.
Yep.
All right. Happy
nice
birthday.
start to her day.
That's right.
Yeah, I hope I got my dates right there. We'll find out.
Man, look at that. Running away with it already. 280, 275.
Yeah, we get a good race happening. Ariel, can you hear us here at the desk?
I'm super impressed with Lauren Fisher, man. That's awesome to see. Like,
amazing.
To basically come in, she didn't even, oh, sorry.
Ariel, can you hear us here at the desk?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations on Heat 1.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you. They brought me a donut cake backstage, and my wish was to win the heat. So the girls were very nice to me, helped me get my wish.
Your wish came true.
Steaks, not cakes. Come on, Ariel.
That's right. That's right.
You know, we watched the event go down. You did it. You know, was it relatively smooth across it, or was it a muscle-up workout, a handstand push-up workout? Did the power snatch catch you off guard? You know, what's hindsight looking at it?
Yeah, hindsight is the arms hurt like round 3, and then from there it's just managing the fatigue. Don't blow up, but also push the pace so you don't rest too much. For me, the muscle-ups felt good. Handstand push-ups I did have to break, but the snatches is where I made up time. I tried to
Nice.
say in my head, like, it's only 65 pounds. You
That's
can
right.
do 8 of them, drop it, and then a small set of 4. And that worked out very well for me.
Were you able to stay on that 8 and 4 pace with the barbell?
So here's a good little birthday thing. I was able to do 5 rounds, 8 and 4, and then I'm 30 now, so I felt great. So on the last 5, I did 9 and 3.
All right.
Good for
No
you.
big deal.
Bumped it
Just
up.
getting better.
That's right.
You start slow and you get faster as you go. That everyone knows the name of the game. You don't win the workout in the first round.
Exactly. I made that mistake on the ruck run. I went out way too hot on the first mile, so I learned on this one the last 5 will be more important than the first 5.
Ariel,
Nice.
as the workout goes on, those bars get a little further away from the rig. Any kind of mental tricks in terms of keeping the pace on the transition?
I knew Manon was really close to me, so I knew I had to walk to the barbell and pick it right up. So I stayed walking, but I knew as soon as I saw the barbell in sight, I had to pick it up and not bend over and breathe.
Well,
So
Ariel,
the space was nice.
congratulations. Well done on
you.
heat number 1, and happy birthday, and good luck with the rest of the competition.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Keep crushing it.
Thank you.
Here we go. That top heat. Laura and Tia standing next to each other.
Emma Carey looks like she's a little early
Yeah,
lead,
it
but
looks
it's
like Emma
super
Carey, I
tight. This feels more aggressive in terms of a pace.
Yeah. I think that's a little young gun out there going out maybe a smidge hot.
She did have that happen a couple times at the games this year, and it's one of those things that you got to thread the line. Like
For
you said,
sure.
she
Sometimes it
knows.
pays off and sometimes it
Right.
doesn't.
I ain't hating on it. I'm loving it. I keep it up. Hey, let's push the pace and see if anyone can keep up, and hopefully some of them die off. Nothing
Roman
wrong
did
with
it
that.
twice on the first 3 events. One
Yeah.
time he was reeled in, the other time everyone just had to let him go. So you
Yeah.
can go either way.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
When you see that person taking off at what might be a reckless pace, or they might be able to keep it in your head, you're like, what
Yeah,
the? Should I
exactly.
be moving a bit quicker? Or you're like, let him go.
And you're just looking
Let
at
'em
their,
go.
you're looking at their facial expressions, where I was always looking like, are they actually like working really hard, or do they look smooth and confident right now?
Right.
And that was where I'd be like, no, that person's going down. They're going down in flames.
There's a little nuance here we mentioned in the first heat with the kipping handstand push-up. Everybody knows Laura Horvath's history with the handstand push-up.
Yes.
And obviously as a programmer, you can't factor in any athlete's ability, but this is like probably a pretty nice surprise. She's the only female athlete who's competed all 5 years at Rogue, and she finally gets to kip her handstand
Yeah,
push-up.
and I was really interested to see that Ariel said the handstand push-ups were kind of like the crux, I guess. And so that'll be really interesting to see how this plays out in this heat with Laura in it.
Yeah.
I think like with it, with the handstand push-ups, it's not necessarily the strict that she struggles with. It's a deficit that just puts her in a
Right.
position that she can't like press from. We know that she's actually a strong presser. If you look at her shoulder to overhead, she is strong in that position. There's something about the deficit handstand push-ups that puts her in a position that she's not strong in. So I don't think that if these had been strict, she would have struggled. It would have been more if these had been parallel handstand push-ups or something like that.
Yeah,
That was an awesome shot right there. It was basically a mirror of Lawson and Toomey doing
Yeah.
reps, kicking down and walking away at the same time.
Yeah, I think Lawson and Toomey's that's gonna be the race here today.
And you know, you got Ben Smith helping out now with Laura Horvath's training.
Right.
And then look at that.
Who's Ben?
Who's that guy?
Ben who?
Ben who?
And Bethany Flores here.
Oh.
Something she's good at. See how she holds up.
Yeah.
We've got ourselves an interview coming up right now. China Cho caught up with Emily Rolfe.
All right, Emily, in a 10-round workout, there is a lot of room for error. Did you have a strategy going into this workout?
I think my strategy was just keep the muscle ups unbroken, blaze through the handstand push-ups, and like smartly break the snatches up.
So you didn't go unbroken on the snatches then?
No, that last round I went for broke, but you can do that on the last round, it's fine.
Absolutely. If you had to rest and repeat, would you change anything? And if so, what is it?
I think just you always want to go a bit calmer at the beginning and then pick it up at the end versus the opposite.
Absolutely. But you did awesome out there. Congrats on a great finish, and good luck for the rest of the day.
Another individual that absolutely crushed it, and times that could stand up well even in this heat.
Right.
Yeah, 1 of 3 to finish in the first heat, so obviously awesome for her. And when she says that you want to go out calmer, Is that a breathing thing? Is that a pacing thing? How do you guys
I
interpret
think it's
that?
more a
from her?
pacing thing. You have in your head a pace that you're going to go, but then as soon as that 3, 2, 1 like happens, you do get giddy. You do get excited, especially with it being the first workout of the day. These athletes have been like warming up and getting ready, and you can't help that like nervous excitement.
Yeah,
So you tend to go out a little bit faster than maybe you should.
Hey, you always had to tell yourself at the beginning of these longer workouts that you had to pull back a little bit. In your head, you're like, I got to pull back because it's more about finishing strong than starting strong. Everyone knows that. If you run out, you've seen it all too many times, how many people go out a little too hot, right? Going out a little too slow, you're not normally going to pay for it as much as if you go out too hot and have to blow up at the end.
Looking to win round 1.
Yeah, win
I
round
think
one,
the
baby.
perfect example is Murph in 2015 when everybody sprinted the first 100 meters.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
they did.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. You know?
It was one of
Thanks
these
for bringing it up.
2016 though.
There you go. Thanks, Sam.
But that in 2000, both years there was a guy who set a super fast pace. Joe Scally did it in 2015. And he
yeah.
basically said,
Yes.
I just wanted to enter that stadium first. But what he did was he pulled the field along, and there were like a half dozen other guys that probably went too fast to match that pace.
I did get bogged into that in 2017 on that run, swim, run at Madison, where everyone's first mile of that run was like sub-6.
Super fast.
It was ridiculous. I was so pissed at myself. I was like, why did you do that?
Here's my strategy.
and then
Send it.
I've never felt like I was going to drown more in a body of water than I did at that event. I was like, I'm going to drown, but I don't even care. Like, I deserve to drown.
That was probably Brent Fikowski's fault. He didn't want to get overtaken by a female again.
Yeah, there you go.
I got
Not that anyone here has ever done that to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, exactly. One of my favorite moments.
So many times I'm just looking at where's Sam at? Where is Sam at? And she was always right there.
Yep.
The ranch, the Aromas, the 5K, gosh, I was like, where is she? If I lose, I'm gonna
But
and
you were one of two guys that can say that you
I
got
know,
her
me and
there.
Matt were the only two that got her, I know.
Here it is, Toomey, Carey, Lawson, the ones we were talking about. They're pulling away from the field, but Toomey has that, it looks like a comfortable lead right now.
Yeah.
Like if she needed to, could she accelerate here? But she doesn't need to, so
Yeah.
she's just gonna maintain.
Tia's just, she's so good at pacing and knowing that, like last night, like watching her, the whole time you're like, oh man, Tia's looking like she's in the back, and then all of a sudden, nope, there she is second, you
Well,
know.
I was out there on the same side of the field because she was in an outside lane. I think she figured out how to do the monkey bars in the workout.
She did, because of that first round, I saw her take off and I was like, oh
She was
no.
swinging side to side, her legs out of
Struggling.
control. In the second round, she passed like 3 or 4 girls
Yes.
on the monkey bars
Yeah.
alone.
Super impressive.
That's crazy. And we talk about unknown, unknowable, and you know, if you have the ability to do that,
Yeah.
that's putting you in a different league than a lot of other athletes.
Good old monkey bars. There you go, Laura.
The crazy thing is, like relative to Ariel's time, they're about halfway through right now, and we
Right.
see some of these
Yeah, Tia's
hands
just
on
onto
knees
that,
from
yeah.
some athletes here.
Yeah, so she's right at, okay, so she's finishing around 5 or 6?
She's finishing round 6.
Round 6. Oh, okay, so she's ahead of Ariel's pace then, right? Because
I
Ariel
would
came in
say-
at like 16 minutes?
Yeah, so I did think those top 2 times could flirt with top 5s. Right now, it looks like they would probably be in the mix with Lawson and Carey.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we don't have the split times in front of us, but it seems about that.
But again, I was bringing it up early. It is so impressive what Lauren Fisher's doing. In my mind, seeing someone who barely qualifies for the event, going against some of the, obviously the top 10 athletes, like you're thinking, all right, Lauren Fisher's probably going to be the bottom quarter of the 20 athletes here. And man, she's putting on a phenomenal display, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, sitting in 7th right now.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things as well about having a greater purpose. Like, she lost her mum recently, and she wasn't even going to compete this weekend, but her dad was like, no, your mum would want you to compete. She loved watching you do what you do. So she's kind of doing this weekend with a greater purpose.
Yeah, that's
And there's a couple interviews people have put out with her where she's talked about that.
Yeah.
And you can see in her, like, first of all, it's amazing that she's talking about it so, you know, positively and openly as she is, but then to also translate it to great performances, it's really kind of
yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah, that is. That's,
And it's been a good year for her. She did team competitions for a long time, and there's been people who've speculated about, can you do that? Can you leave
Right.
the individual field,
Right.
go do the teams, and come back and do this? And she's telling us it's possible.
Yeah, she is.
I think she definitely has age on her side as well.
Yeah.
You think about like when she first came into the CrossFit scene, she was like one of the original
Oh,
like
yeah.
teen,
19, 20.
yeah,
100%.
like in there competing at the games. So
She threads the needle between her actual age and her training age, and she's kind of right in that sweet spot. She's been
Yeah.
doing it a long time, but she's not 35.
Yep.
I always felt bad for Lauren because I was at Invictus when she came in, right? And her first season, most people get that first season where like there's no expectations. You get to go and you get to go out and go as hard as you want, and no one really thinks you're gonna do that great. But I felt like she got a lot of attention, and so many people put expectations on her. Like, this girl's gonna win the games, and I think it kind of hurt her in that first season. And I felt bad for her almost a little bit that like too many people were like putting her up there and not letting her have that first year where like, hey, no one knows this girl, and she comes out and gets to crush it.
And this is like become, I think, more and more of a factor for athletes as there's more media, there's more personalities, there's more expectations that people are talking about. And if those come across your path as an athlete, knowing what to do with that can be a challenging thing to navigate.
Yeah, I agree. Expectations can make things a little bit more difficult. When you get to go and be free, it's a lot easier.
The darn media.
Way to go, Pat.
People up here
You
just
blew
chirping
it.
away.
You blew it, pal.
Well, I'd say, I mean, like that's one of the things I do. You know, I make the rankings for the athletes based on what I know about them, and obviously also understanding that it's a sport and you have to go and do it. And I talk to a lot of the athletes. Some of them use that as fuel. It can be like, damn, he believes in me. I want to go prove him right. Or it can be like, what the heck is wrong with that guy? Last place out of 20, I'm going to show him he's wrong. So you can take it either way and use it as motivation. But if you don't have someone that's either helping you with that or know how to do it, it can also have a negative effect. And if you guys were speaking to athletes, you may have an opportunity to, maybe you've experienced that.
I've definitely experienced you counting me out.
I've usually been proven to be silly.
Awkward.
That was perfect. I was going to say.
Awkward. Party two right
how
here.
would you say your batting average is on the picks?
I've actually done analysis of that. It's usually about 80%
Would have
accurate.
thought.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sammy falling to 20% there, outside the margin.
I think Lauren is testament to her support group around her, that even though she had all that pressure, the huge sponsorships and everything at such a young age, she's still stuck around and she's still like competing now. And you've seen other athletes that have like Mal and Haley who actually like struggled at that age.
Yep.
And hopefully like we can see those athletes coming back into the sport. It'd be sad to like lose such great athletes.
And to Brian's point here, I do think it's cool that someone's so willing to go in and explore all the data, because there's so much data, and like the things that you find are awesome, because it's kind of where I used to be. I used to always look at like, oh, how many events did this person win? What kind of events were they winning? Were they winning pull-up workouts, handstand push-ups? And it's cool that you're doing it, because like every other sport has that,
right?
Like where they know all the data, and it's like CrossFit needs it. That's where we're at now.
And what I've learned in the last couple of years is what you just said, is that the athletes are doing that.
Yeah.
There's some of them will take time, and if I sit down and have conversations with some of them, they know their competitors very well also. They're just not making it public the way that I am.
Right. It's cool, man. I know. I used to do it a lot, actually. Who would have thought? Tia's crushing. I wonder. And then, so Emma Carey and Emma Lawson now are having a little battle. I like it.
Yeah, this could really
young
shift
Emmas.
up the leaderboard. We did the morning show a couple hours ago, and I said, hey, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, do not fall in love with the leaderboard right now. We got a lot of events happening.
I mean, look at Laura there. She's down there second, 9th place right now in the heat. So that's a lot of points for Tia.
Yeah, that's going to give Tia quite a sizable lead, but we still have 2 more workouts.
Yes.
Well, and we saw the leaderboard at the start of this event. Just 30 points between 6th and 12th. Like that can change in an instant, and it can change right back on you the next event if you're not careful.
What Tia's good at is amassing that lead between her and somebody else. So it's like, hey, the race is behind me. I'm getting more comfortable with every event that goes by. I grab a bit more, and I grab a bit more real estate.
I mean, Tia didn't take time off. Tia had a baby. You know what I mean? Like, this is wild.
Yeah, very impressive.
I am so impressed.
No, and it's like I've seen women in gyms do this, train through pregnancy, sometimes right up to the last day, and then they need some time for their body to recover, a couple weeks to maybe a couple months, depending on how the pregnancy goes. But they get back in the gym and they're still good. I think that if you're able to find a way to train through your pregnancy as a woman, you'll be, even at the casual recreational level, able to do some remarkable things
Now,
after.
what's happening down there in the field of play? I know that obviously you can't speak for her, but if you were in this position, like in Laura Horvath's position, you know what the leaderboard is. You know that it was 5 points. You know you're falling behind her. Like, it was just one of those deals, right? And there was probably, whether you want it, like you said, they're following everything. So they know, hey, last couple times they went well for you. Tia wasn't here.
That's
it's
right.
in your head somehow. How do you keep those little demons out of your head right now?
I think you out-train every insecurity that you ever had. And I think that Laura knows that, yeah, she knew coming into this workout, this probably wasn't her workout, right? And so she knows that the next workout is the dual. We haven't had that announced yet. And then we have a heavy deadlift.
Right.
So she knows what she's capable of doing on the rest of the workout. So this isn't going to, I don't think this is going to affect her too much, right? This is just going to be a minor little setback. And all she was trying to do was, you know, keep the damage to a minimum and then move on to the next one.
What do you think, Sam?
I think we see a new Laura now. It's like if you think back when she first stood on the podium, and then that performance, that Laura kind of disappeared for a few years, where she became a little bit lost, started working with Ben, and I think the mental side of things, and I think she's more confident in herself and in her performances, that something like this isn't going to bother her. It's
Right.
like she knows what she's capable of. Like Josh was saying, it's like damage limitation, push it on the next two.
Move on to the next one.
Just for reference, Lowen was in at 16:47, so Emma Carey chasing that time right here.
Nice. Now she got it. Nice.
Great finish
Good
for
for her.
Emma. Went out hot. Yes,
Yeah.
Tia caught her, but beat the rest of the
Yeah, exactly.
the women
She held the
competition.
pace pretty well. That's super impressive to see at such a young age.
That's a really good result for her there.
Yeah.
And I think awesome for people to see. Like, she's a quiet person, but she trains so hard.
Yeah.
She had an early setback in her career, but I'm telling you, this girl is amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Emma Lossing might have gotten sucked into that, hey, went out a little too hard, tried to keep up with Tia, and didn't have that pace left in her. But she's still doing great. She's
Right.
about to finish.
And Manu Nangonis, 17:10, fourth place. She was second and third on those two last year. This is the stuff that she's amazing at, and she can come here against the best in the
Yeah.
world and have another top 5 finish.
It's awesome.
And look, Lawson's still going to finish 5th in this workout.
Yeah, say,
it's gonna
I
be
say,
great.
oh, she got out too hard, but I find it funny when, or not funny, but always interesting when they don't touch the hip there, right? Like anytime I even do light snatches, I'm always touching my hip. Sam, what do you do?
No, with a live one like that, I won't take it into the hip.
No,
Grip it and rip it.
I love it. Stronger posterior chain than myself.
And then pay for it the next day.
Another solid finish.
Probably got 3 or 4 athletes still here that can get in this next minute or so. Only Emily Rolfe was the only other finisher, so
That's right.
you know, finishing this workout under the 19 minutes proving to be a great accomplishment.
Yeah, seriously. I thought we had the time cap there, but yeah.
Lauren's just getting onto the bar now.
And Colin
the
Brander
ones
as well.
that aren't finishing by not a ton, right? Like, I think it was
Right.
appropriately difficult.
Yeah.
They're almost all in the last
Yeah.
round. Yeah.
True.
And Christine Kohlenbrander,
I mean-
hey, I'm just saying, this could be an amazing day for her. That's a top 6-7 finish right there. She's got the heaviest listed deadlift in the field alongside Spiegel.
Really?
And the dual is a wild card, so
I didn't know that she had the heaviest. That's cool. There you go, Lauren. Good job.
Well
another
done,
great
yeah.
finish for her. Man.
And Lauren again, another great deadlifter. I mean, you don't look at Lauren and think heavy
That's
lifter,
true.
but she actually, I remember at the ranch, the deadlift ladder, she was like up among the top lifters there.
Incredibly strong for her
And
size.
there's the time cap.
I'm actually excited because I think a lot of these athletes have never done a heavy deadlift or a 1-rep max deadlift in competition. I think there's a lot of athletes out here in the field that have never done it because it's been a while.
Or if they have, it was part of the total, where
Yeah.
you've already done 2 heavy lifts leading into it.
Right. The guns.
And then, look, Gazan, McGowan, and Horvath didn't finish that. Those
Yeah.
were 3 of the top 5. That
That's
tight
huge.
race we're talking about is only going to get tighter.
Yeah, without a doubt. As soon as we can, we'll get Kiki down there to interview Tia.
The champ is here.
And she is making contact with the hips there. And
Yeah.
obviously, also, she's well enough ahead at that point to know that she can do that.
I think you've got to look at limb length as well. Like Tia's a shorter leg, longer torso, so like getting it into the hip. Josh
Same.
again, shorter legs.
What'd you say?
You and
How
your long
dare you.
legs.
Yeah,
Long torso.
Tia, congratulations on your event win. It looked like your snatch breakup was very intentional. At what point did you make that decision and why?
You know, Shane and I, we definitely played around with different scenarios in the warm-up area, and we just figured, you know, it's not a 10-minute workout. There's obviously a lot of time out on that floor, and it's 120 reps, so you just got to break it up from the very beginning and hope that that plays out.
It certainly played out for you. You had a healthy lead over the rest of the competition. When that happens, do you allow yourself to take the foot off the gas, or are you still looking to get that tempo that you had in place at the start of the event?
Yeah, no, it's always, you know, foot to the pedal, if you will, and, you know, you got to, like I said at the start of the weekend, you got to capitalize on every event the best that you can, and, you know, I knew that this was going to be a tough workout, but it was also going to be a really good one for me, so I just went for it.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Champ is here.
Absolutely crazy work as she's just piling more points onto her lead. Thanks, everybody here at the desk. Had an absolute blast. We've got a bunch more of the Tailgate show coming up. Don't go anywhere. Men for event number 4, 10th inning, coming up real soon. Road Invitational. This is the Tailgate show. We're going to cover event number 4, 10th inning for the men, and have an absolute blast. I'm Pat Sherwood, joined at the desk. I've got Rich Froning, 4-time individual champ, won the affiliate cup like 105 times. We've got Brian Friend, expert analyst in the CrossFit arena. Justin Medeiros, 2-time games champion, and has won this event 2 times as well. So we're going to have an absolute blast here, gentlemen. You look at this 10-rounder, Rich. Does it make you smile? You wish you were out there, or you're like, nah, I'm good?
No, this is a fun one. You know, everything's pretty, you know, these are the type of ones that, you know, you've always said the 115-pound bar scares you. So everybody, I feel like there's that trend of, hey, we need to get heavier. 95 pounds just hurts. There's no reason to stop on all these movements. So transition's going to be key on this, I think.
When you see a lot of athletes at this level, this would be what I would take away as the recreational athlete at home. When you see these athletes breaking up power snatches at this weight, it hurts.
know it's a good
It
one.
hurts, yeah.
Now, Bridges said even in some of the testing, they were reduced to singles at times.
I bet. And that's such a weird, the 95-pound bar moves around so much, so you're like, I don't want to do singles, but if you get to that point, it's a scary spot to be in.
And the women that did the best didn't need to do that. There were a lot of 8-4s, 9-3s. I kind of like that more, I think.
Yeah.
Justin, if you were going to get out there and attack this, what's the strategy? Would there be some intentional breakup of something from the beginning? You know, what would be going through your head? Now, that plan might disintegrate, but what would be the plan initially?
Yeah, I actually did this workout right when it came out. Thought
Oh,
it'd be a fun
really?
one to
Okay.
do. I did it with strict handstand push-ups, so a little bit different, but like definitely watching it, I thought they're going to do something different with the with the handstand push-ups, like make it strict, make it deficit or whatever. But I think just with the straight kipping handstand push-ups for the men at least, it's just going to come down to a barbell workout. I mean, those 4 muscle-ups not going to catch up anybody, and being able to kip the handstand push-ups should be pretty manageable. So it's kind of going to get down to those transitions back and forth. They're going to add up, and like who can cycle that barbell the best.
When there's no forced kip or strict, because you could do it either way, sometimes we've seen athletes choose to start strict and then go from there. You think we'll see any of that?
I'm better at strict. I hate kipping. My neck hurts for a week and a half. So, and I'm also old though. So a lot of these guys still probably have a lot of space left in their vertebrae. But you know, I like a strict better. For me, the cycle rate's way faster. I just have that. I don't kip that often, so it's just such a weird movement for me. But yeah, I mean.
I think
We're
back
gonna
to
see-
Mary at the games. Like Carrie Pierce did strict handstand push-ups.
Kerry
She didn't
Pierce is
have
an
to.
animal in gymnastics.
there we go.
Look at
Will Moorhead.
There we
Yeah.
go. I knew somebody would do it. He's old too, though, so he's got to do that.
And we've been talking about this at Roga Invitational. You can have phenomenal times come out of Heat 1 in every single event.
For
and
sure.
Will Moorhead Victor Hoffer, a couple guys here that might do just that.
Rich, I might get the name wrong, okay? So correct me on that. Leadville? Leadville
Yeah.
100?
Yeah, mountain bike.
Give us a little history. What is that for anyone who's unfamiliar with it, and what was your experience there?
Yeah, so Leadville is a mining town in Colorado, and years ago all the mines kind of shut down, and so there's this, they created a race there around running 100 miles. It's all above, well, you start at 10,000 feet. There's a run, there's also a ride. So the ride that we did is 100 miles. It's actually 105 miles. They bill it as 100 miles. They tell you when you get there it's 104, and then my GPS said it was 105.
Okay.
So you go out 52 miles, you come back 52 miles, and you gain around anywhere from 11 to 12,000 feet throughout that. So you start at 10, work your way kind of downish to 9 with some climbs in there, go all the way up to, I think it's 12,600, and then back. And so it was a ton of fun in the messed up, sick kind of way that we all understand.
I was going to say, were you bored, or what was
No, man, it was really cool. You know, it was a different training stimulus, obviously. It's something completely different than we do. Just I would maintain, I did CrossFit throughout the whole training, but instead of my second session that I traditionally do, I would just ride.
Mm-hmm.
And so I rode a ton leading up to it. It was just different, man. It was fun. It was cool. The community out there was incredible. You know, we talked about it that I was doing it, so people knew, and so it was kind of funny. You know, we'd come through aid stations, and you hear, "Come on, Rich!" You know, I was wearing Mayhem stuff, and we had 4 or 5 guys that were wearing all of our kits, and that we'd train together. But I mean, you'd just be in the middle of the woods, and there's people out there it's community. You know, it's
That's
super.
cool.
The mountain bike community is awesome. There are people at the top. Hey, you need an electrolyte pill? You want some Coke, flat Coke? Give you some sugar? And I'm like,
Yes,
yes,
yes, please. Yes, please.
And so it was funny. You kind of settle into a group of people you kind of ride with. You're at the same pace. I might pass people making a climb. They'd pass me on a flat because I'm not very aerodynamic. And so this guy, we're about 80 miles into the race, and he goes, "Hey man, why does everybody know your name?" And I was like, you ever heard of CrossFit? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I competed for a long time. And he's like, all right, cool, man. Nice to meet you. I'm like, cool. So it was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And nice to get outside the realm of, what we normally do on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've just been doing it for so long, and I still enjoy, pushing ourselves or trying different challenges. And so I was just ready for something a little bit different. Man, I had a blast. I'm thinking about doing it again this year. So
Do the run.
I think about 50 miles in, you just see
man.
dust coming out of my left knee. I think everything else would be all right, but my left knee would just be, my femur and my tibia would just fuse together at some point.
With a workout like this, Justin, that's on the lighter side, and you get some gymnastics in there. You're back there in the warm-up area. What does your warm-up look like for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of opposite of what a lot of people think. I mean, the longer type workouts, almost the warm-ups, not as intense as some of those workouts that are sub 5 minutes. So I think just doing something like this is just kind of getting generally warm. I mean, it's a lot of shoulders in this workout for sure, with the muscle ups and the handstand push-ups and the snatches. So just making sure you get nice generally warm and kind of get your aerobic system warmed up. I think it'll get you ready to kind of go out there. I mean, it's not like a sprint from the get-go. It's kind of who can, their first round pace and their 7th round pace and their 10th round pace is kind of all the same. And I think that's kind of the goal for these guys, is just kind of consistency through all 10 rounds.
Feels to me like it's an easy workout that you could potentially get pulled out of that pace if you're not too careful by someone next to you that maybe you're like, wow, I wasn't expecting them to go that fast. Maybe I should do that. How big of a mistake can that be?
Big. Yeah, you blow up on that barbell. I think it comes down to the barbell, in my opinion. You blow up your grip, you blow up your shoulders, and it affects those other 2 movements. So I think it's like Justin's saying, you're smooth. You don't, I mean, that was kind of my MO. Everybody's like, why are you so good at pacing? I'm like, I just don't like to hurt. So I just kind of find that, right on the threshold of hurt. And so this is a good workout for that.
We get a fan question popping up from Ryan M. This is for Rich. How many hours a day is Rich still training since he's not competing?
It just varies on time of the year, and also really depends on the kid's schedule. If the kids are at school, I'm like, I don't really have anything else to do, so I might as well work out. So I'll jump in with Angelo and some of those guys, and probably I try to limit myself and be done by the time the kids are out of school. So usually hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the evening. But it's only stuff I like. If I'm like, I don't want to do that movement, I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. So it's fun to work out to work out.
Yeah, right. Make it fun again.
Instead of train, it's way different. So
take that pressure off a little bit. We were chatting about you guys being, former champions before. That were,
Justin is definitely not old.
Justin's not old, sorry.
Best in the world and stuff.
The rest of us, well.
And we never know what's going on in your heads. But when, myself as a fan of the sport or an analyst watching, when I would see some of the greats do what they're doing, and I'll throw this to you first, Justin. Everyone's got contractile potential. They're strong. They got technique. Like, that's across the board. But then you get that champion aspect, that it factor, was a lot of you gold medal winners almost seemed unflappable, or like I would call like very compliant. It's like, okay, hey, the event's going in an hour. Okay, change 5 minutes. Okay, hey, we modified the weight. Okay, like it's just now I don't know if in your head you're like, you son of a, but on the outside it was like you can throw whatever you want at this person. Was that, am I right in that assessment? Was it something you trained or worked on? Is it your personality by nature?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a combination of all of them, I think just like on scenarios like that, it's like you can only control what like is in your control, and like heat times, start times, weather conditions, like can't really control any of that. At the end of the day, we're all going to go out there and do the same workout, so it's like everyone's going to have the same conditions, and we're all going to go out there and compete. So
just warmed up for the heavy lift. You're like, let's go. They're like, delay. Like, okay, all right. Well,
it's like everyone's delayed, so it's not like it's just me, So I think a lot of people get caught up in that and take those change-ups pretty seriously and personally. But
and then you just stressing yourself out for no reason, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself, Rich?
Yeah, I think, like Justin's saying, it's a combination of all of it. I think with the way we always trained of, hey, we don't know what we're going to do that day. We just kind of make it up on the fly. Helps a little bit with that. A lot of the times we'll start an interval-type workout, and we're like, I don't know how many rounds it's going to be. We're going to see maybe 6, maybe 8, maybe 10. It usually starts with a question mark. Brian's been there a couple of times where he's like, hey, what do I do here? And part of that is by design.
Right.
Part of it's because I don't know how this is going to feel. Like, you think you know how a workout's going to feel, but then you get into it. And then also, you're playing a little bit of mind games at times, like when you see Jason Kalipa, and he's just like, what? Wait, we're doing what? And so if you can look as calm as possible, and then you notice that he's looking at you, then you just want to, burn that in there a little bit. So there's a little bit of mind games to it, I think, too. And there's so much out of your control. I think, I look back at that first year, and it comes with experience over the years. I look at my first year when they pulled us to that room and kept us in that room for 3 hours, and people left and never came back. You're just like, are they dying out there? Are there tigers out there? You just don't know. It's your first year. You don't know anybody. So that first year was a kick in the teeth.
I actually learned from you that when I trained with you guys, and I've been applying some of that in my training now, specifically with like pacing and machines and stuff where you can actually see it. I might have a perceived, I think I could hold 1,200 on this for whatever, and I get into it and I'm like, oh, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Or not.
A little bit, yeah.
And I'll make that adjustment, and I'm not afraid to do that.
Right. That's cool.
Let me start with you on this, Justin, and then work my way down to Rich, because you mentioned the mind games thing, right? And so, not getting into the world of gossip and all that, but, leading up to this, there was Adler and Krennikov, chirping back and forth, and take for whatever it's worth on social media, but it sounded like there was some head games playing with each other, which, if you're like the CrossFit historian, for the longest time that wasn't it. Like, it's all sunshine and rainbows and hugs, and we all want everyone to succeed. But you also want to beat them and win. In other sports, what would be considered like trash talking in CrossFit wouldn't be a blip on the radar in any other sport. The trash talking is at a whole nother level. Is that just kind of evolving and changing as the years go by? I mean, what does it look like on the field from a competitor's standpoint? Is it you in your own lane, or is there some, I might try to influence so-and-so a bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely situations where you got to kind of, you take those opportunities, and hopefully they remember them, and especially like at the CrossFit Games and with like Roman and Jeff, like you were talking about, it was those two kind of battling for that top spot, and the rest of the field was pretty far behind. So it's kind of trying to get the edge on the other as much as you can, because like every point matters, especially in those situations, competing against those guys. And
if you can rattle them, you can rattle them.
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah, 100%.
I'll toss this to Rich, but when I've spoken to athletes, it doesn't matter if you're 1 and 2, if you're 10, 11, 12. At some point in the weekend, you kind of identify the guys that are your biggest competitors, and then you can kind of focus and say, okay, well, by whatever means necessary, these are the guys.
Yeah, I think it's sport. I think you're seeing a lot of these guys. There wasn't a ton of trash talk. It's it's a different era, I guess. If we want it more professionalized, that's what's going to happen. It is what it is. You're there to win.
Yep.
Yeah, I think community, the affiliates, all that, yeah, it should be a little bit. But, hey, there's some fun chirping going on in some of those for fun. But it's sport, you know, like, yeah, that's some real tame trash talk from, you know, playing football, playing baseball, playing any of those types of things. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see more. We're going to see less of it. You see a lot of these guys and girls not playing sports before they get into CrossFit.
Right.
And so maybe, I don't know.
And this is, I mean,
we used to mess with Jason all the time, but it was more out of fun. You know, like a lot of us like hung out together off and on. And so it was like, we've always kind of had
and
that.
who's kidding? We got a $1.6 million prize purse on the line.
Hey, if you
here.
can catch an edge and you know somebody can't handle some pressure, yeah, you're going to mess with them a little bit.
Yep.
It is what it is. I mean, in mass starts, too. Mass starts were always the ones that people get their feelings hurt. And, you know, when you're kind of in the beginning, you're like, oh, I don't want to, like, you know, swim. You're like, oh, I don't know if I want to. Towards the end of it, there was a couple times where I felt people grab, and I would swing as hard as I could. And I caught Temple a couple times. And you're just like, hey, you know, it's either me or you, like shark or the minnow. You know? And as bad as that sounds, that's sport, you know, and this is what we're watching here is if you want it high-level sport, it's going to happen.
Yep, without a doubt.
This is somewhat fascinating here because Victor Hoffer's one of the youngest athletes in the field, and there's a couple of savvy veterans there behind him. Crouch and Jukic aren't as old as Mort and Mayer, but they all have a lot of competitive experience. I've been waiting for some of them to kind of reel him in. He's been able to hold them off, but we still got a few rounds to go.
Looks strong on those handstand push-ups.
Aha.
There we go. There you go. You said it and it happens, right?
Yeah, and Jay Crouch is coming to his own this year, big time.
Yeah, he is incredibly fit. Fun to watch. Met him when we were in Australia. Good kid, good dude.
Yeah, I'm doing Wadapalooza this year on the team, and he's on my team.
Oh, nice.
So
that's
cool. Yeah.
You guys are crushing it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm pretty excited.
I've been talking to Jay and Rob Forte over the past 3 years or so. Rob's been kind of like building him up over there in Australia, and this year, for whatever reason, he just had a breakthrough where he was like feeling confident, feeling better.
Yeah.
And you've talked about this forever, but when it's not an exact science of how to get there mentally, but when you see that happen to an athlete, it just takes them to a whole nother level. It's cool to see that happen for Jay.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys are incredibly talented, and so, like, what's the separator? If you can, it's mental, you know? That's what I've always said. Like, there were guys that we competed with in my, like, I mean, you look at Neil Maddox, that was incredible talent, you know? I mean, obviously he was a little older than a lot of us even at that
but
time.
A cyborg.
But a cyborg, and then, so, you know, it's just, it comes down to mental at sometimes.
Well, there was a lot of people, you know, following the sport who they're training, if you looked at their training numbers, you're like, there's the fittest man or woman in the world, and then it didn't happen on the competition floor. And then people who, I'm not trying to say they had bad numbers, but their numbers weren't as utterly spectacular, and they would outperform them on training day. I'll give you an example of that.
Spencer Hendel.
Oh, Becca Boyd.
Oh, Becca Boyd, incredible.
I mean, like, you're like, yeah, she's a good athlete. Val Volbrel, yeah, she's a good athlete, and then competes like a ferocious animal. It doesn't get fazed by anything, and just, I mean, so you never know until the lights come on, somebody yells 3, 2, 1, go, and you're like, oh, we're really doing this.
Yep, yeah, I mean, I look at, in our era, Spencer Hendel was that way. You're like, you see him at semifinals, squeak, or whatever it was back then, regionals, squeak in, and then at the games, he's like top 8. And, you know, because he gets out and does the, like, this type of stuff where you're up and over logs, or the games style stuff. So has an athletic background, playing multiple sports. His dad's an NFL football player, you know.
I know I'm coaching at his gym now.
Do what?
At Andy's gym. I coach at Andy's gym.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, it's been awesome
Andy,
to learn from
Andy's
him.
the man. He's so funny.
Andy's a character.
Rich is having flashbacks to the top of Pendleton there, watching Spencer swing around on the bars.
Yep.
Damn, that guy's
so
impressive.
tall when he's just stepping over the, you know, I'm having to jump to full, you know, as high as I can, and Spencer's just like, bloop.
I know you didn't win the heat, but the last heat of the men's obstacle course that year is one of my favorite, like, 2-minute things to watch in CrossFit history. I love that.
Only reason I was in that is because Neil tripped, I think. Just sniper. I mean, was ahead of us, all of us, and then just caught something, I can't remember, but it was like down, and I'm like, all right.
I think there's actually one shot where you can see you be like, oh shit, I got a chance here.
I got a chance.
So this should be going into the last round, and it's pretty much Hoffer and Crouch here. Hoffer's led from the start. Crouch has been climbing the ladder.
Just kind of teasing him a little bit.
So two totally different strategies are paying off here, and they're probably going to finish 1 and 2 in the heat.
I mean, with Hoffer, I mean, he's really crushing the ring muscle-ups and the handstand push-ups, and then kind of just trying to hold his own on the barbell. Like, you can see him, like, looking back, waiting for Jay to kind of start walking up to his bar before he hits his second set, but
A little no rep there, see if that catches. He lets Jay catch up, but doesn't look like it.
Well, he did have that like world record performance quarterfinals workout 1 with the muscle ups and handstand push-ups. So clearly things that he's very good at with the gymnastics background. And the women's event, some of the early times, Ariel Owen's time was super competitive. I think this again has a chance to be a top 5 performance, despite the caliber of athlete coming up in the next heat.
Okay, honest question here. We saw the power snatchers there with the round back, right? I've been there myself. I'm not throwing stones. Is it just I'm tired, relatively speaking to my capacity as a lightweight, I can get away with it? Is there any thought that, hey, you know what, in 2 events I got a 1 rep max deadlift, this might catch up with me? Live it in the moment.
I mean, you're probably going to be feeling it, but especially going into the max deadlift, I mean, your adrenaline's going to be running so high that, like...
Now, tomorrow or Monday?
It might be a little bit different, but that adrenaline's
And how old is he?
Right.
21.
Talk to me in 15 years and you're rounding your back like that. I'm like, no, let's keep a perfectly set spine. Up and down, I don't care how slow it is. Yeah, like, I mean, Lazar not touching his body.
Right.
Yeah.
That looks to me like I won't be able to walk for a week, so.
Lazar just in Cookville for like a month.
Yeah, him and Roman just smashing each other into the ground.
And like I said, we've all been there.
All been there.
100%. Impressive.
Nice work for Lazar there.
Yeah.
Rogue Invitational hasn't always been kind to him, but he loves coming here anyway.
Loves coming here. I don't think he was planned on coming, and then last minute was like, all right, I'll do it. You know, so it was good to have him at the gym. Him and Roman, like I said, they were just trying to kill each other for a month.
I talked to him in Madrid. He won the Madrid championships, and he said, you know, maybe like Rogue isn't my best chance to win an off-season competition, but I like putting myself in situations that are challenging.
Yeah, he needs that. I mean, we all need that at times, right?
Travis Mayer still doing it, man.
Still doing it.
Travis Mayer, 4 kids. Just still making it happen. I know, no kidding. And he's somebody, you know, I'll throw myself under the bus. Another one of those athletes, of which there are many, that just wouldn't, you know, wouldn't give him probably as much lead up as they needed. He was so just consistent and sneaky and just performed time
Except
and
for,
time
I
again.
think he's done Karen unbroken with a 30-pound ball.
Oh my goodness, come on.
You don't do that?
That's like science fiction to me, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
No.
I don't even, I mean, I could probably do Karen if I had to, a gun to my head with 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to. And then to do it with a 30, it's like a meteor hitting you. That's one of the more impressive things that I've heard of happening. I would love to see it, just because I can't even fathom doing it.
It'd be fun to ask him now. I think he could still do that.
I know, right? Gosh. There's a video of it too, right?
I think it's out there, yeah. There's some crazy stuff. Like, I think Vellner did 100 burpee box jump overs in 5 minutes one time, and it's on YouTube too.
Insane.
And actually, speaking of Andy Hendel, he told me he one time did 100 overhead squats consecutively.
Was it
95 pounds.
95 pounds.
Unbroken.
Yeah. And
What?
with wide stance, super wide stance, you know.
Oh,
Andy. That's where I got my level 1. Pat, you were there?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I accidentally kicked Andy's son out of his own gym, but that's a different story. I didn't know who he was. Didn't know Spencer at the time. But I thought he was just a straggler trying to get in. I booted him out. Well, Rich, I think you've got to actually get out here and
work out.
one. Much
Appreciate
appreciated,
gentlemen.
my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, have fun out
I'll
there.
see you guys around. Oh, yeah. Watch me.
Right.
Sweet.
All right. Let's see. Back to old Heat 1 action here.
Yeah, Victor Hoffer, I mean, he said it after the first event. I knew that wasn't going to be great. I actually think he probably did okay. The field's just obviously amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said there's going to be some stuff to watch throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, you know, get the points when you can, right?
For sure.
And also, as a young man, to have the first event be something that you know you might take a last place on and still have the mentality that very night to say,
Talk
hey.
to Pat about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do in between events on something like this, Justin?
Sleep.
Literally curling up somewhere?
I mean,
try to catch
I
some
grew up
Z's?
wrestling, man. I mean, you have 5 or 6 matches a day, and in between matches, you're just like curled up in the freaking stands, in between seats, just trying to sleep it out. I mean, obviously you got to eat your food and stuff like that, but pretty much my goal in between events is eat my food as fast as I can, get to sleep.
Are you eating clean between these events? You're getting something, tasty, good sugar down just to fire yourself back up?
I mean, it kind of just depends on the day, what time the events are. I mean, if you have like multiple events in the morning, I mean, it's a lot different. So.
And it depends of whether you're getting ready for a 1-rep dead or a 5K run, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How heavy of a meal you can have.
The meal that you can have before a 1-rep max deadlift is a lot better than the meal that you have before your 5K run.
100%. We're going to be joined real soon here by Victor Hoffer.
Do you struggle to sleep at that in between events?
No.
No.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
I think there's a lot of people envious of that. We talked about it on the women's side,
Overall,
Pat. It's tight. There's a lot of points up for grabs here today, and a lot can change on that leaderboard.
Victor, here at the desk, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Congratulations, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
Any recommendations now that that workout is behind you to, if you had to do it over again, happy with your strategy, or could you, pace a little bit different?
Yeah. So I see the women's side, and the better women on the snatch make 4-4-4, so 3 sets. And basically, my plan was unbroken on gym and 8-4, but I break a little bit more the snatch, and I was good on gym. I think I have a good execution, so yeah, my plan was good, and it was a good event win for my hits.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Did you notice Jay Crouch sneaking up on you there?
Yeah, I see Jay Crouch. I know he's very strong on gym, and I say, I hope I can do in front. I was a little more comfortable, so yeah, it was a good fight.
You've got 4 events down. How's the body holding up?
Yeah, my body is a little bit broke, so it's heavy workouts, a lot of stuff, but yeah, it was fun. It's my first operation and first very big competition like this with top 15 games, and I take a lot of fun, yeah.
Fantastic. Hey,
thank you.
Congratulations, my
Thank
friend.
you.
You've been a blast to watch. We wish you nothing but the best. Keep it up.
Thank you, man.
You mentioned a second ago that just the fact that if I had to pick a sport, now I know it's great to be a gymnast, it's great to be an Olympic weightlifter coming into CrossFit, but man, I almost feel like I'd give the nod to being a wrestler. Wrestlers are some of the, I'm going to say wrestlers and hockey players are some of the mentally toughest human beings that I have come across. Is it safe to say that that was something you lean on from time to time, the old wrestling background?
No, 100%. I mean, especially when I was wrestling. I mean, I was doing CrossFit to train for that. And, I could not, I tried to get so many of my teammates to go do it, and it didn't work. But, man, I think that was, a huge reason for, my success in wrestling. And I think now that, wrestling's in my past and my behind, and I really think that was, a big part of my success in CrossFit now, for sure.
Wrestling, I mean, not only are those people so conditioned and so mentally tough, and they can just suffer, but win or lose, you got nobody else to blame.
Oh, for sure.
It's on you. It's on the mat. You can't be like, wow, this guy didn't block for me, so I couldn't run the ball. It's like, no.
No, it's all you.
Win,
it's
lose, or draw.
That's what's awesome about CrossFit. I mean, I think that's like going back to it, it's about the trash talk, all that kind of stuff is it's hard because at the end of the day, if you did bad or good in an event, it's pretty much your own fault because you're in your own lane. There's lots of rules that say you can't go into someone else's lane, so it's pretty hard to kind of point the finger on anybody else when stuff doesn't go the way you want it. But
we got a fan question rolling in here, I believe. I think this will be for you, Justin. This is from Jennifer F. Justin, do you plan to do any off-season comps?
Yeah, I mean, I actually signed up for a powerlifting meet in December.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to do that, just kind of local one in Boise. My camera guy, Dallas, he's been training for it. He's going to be doing it, and
will we be able to watch it at all? You guys do anything YouTube?
Yeah, no, we're going to do a YouTube video on it and stuff like that. So it's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm super excited about it. I mean, I'm sure most people know now, I have a coach, Jesse Buffano, that's up in Canada at Squamish Barbell. Secret weapon right there, So I've been doing the training for the past 3 years now, So it's not I'm not specifically training for the powerlifting meet, just kind of doing the same stuff we've always did, but it kind of helps to have that intention and training to actually
cool
like know that I'm going to be doing a meet.
Yeah,
So
it's cool that you guys can do that. A lot of the CrossFit athletes will do Olympic meets. They're not like going out there to set a world record, but they can do that. And it gives you an opportunity to execute under a different set of kind of pressure and circumstances that you never know if that's going to pay off in CrossFit.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like you see, like we had like the max sandbag event like 2 years ago at the games, and you see here like we're having the max deadlift. I think it's pretty cool now that like we're testing strength in more than just the domain of Olympic weightlifting, which I think is so cool. I mean, I think Olympic weightlifting is like a huge part of the sport for sure, but like, man, there's so many more aspects. I mean, you look at the world's strongest man. I mean, they're not doing snatches and clean and jerks, which it's pretty cool to kind of be able to do all those different things now.
Squat, dead, bench. What's your favorite?
Man, I mean, squat has always been like my favorite, you know, and I think just going into the meet, like I think deadlift has been awesome. I mean, my coach Jesse loves the deadlift thing. There's no reason to be alive if you cannot do the deadlift.
That's a great
line. Do you have long arms?
Yeah, no, I have decently long arms for, I guess, my size.
I always have thought about that with the powerlift because it's great on the deadlift, but you got a bench.
Oh, right, yeah, exactly. I know. So I'm pretty excited to kind of hit numbers, and I got my numbers of mine that I want to hit, so I'm pretty excited for that. But on the competition thing, I mean, I talked about it earlier. I'm going to be Duwadapalooza on a team with Jay Crouch and Willie Georges, so I don't know if you said that. But that's going to be our team.
I didn't know if we have. Willie's such a cool guy.
Oh, he's the absolute best, man. I'm in. Talk about a strong dude. I was actually just talking to Tebow about it, and he said he's going to be doing a powerlifting meet too. I forgot to reach out to him, but
that should be an absolute.
Should be cool. He's a strong dude.
I'm going to catch up with that YouTube video, but right now we've got China Cho down on the field with Will Morad.
Will, you've been doing this CrossFit thing for quite some time now. This workout's pretty straightforward. Did it go to plan?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody was maybe a little tempted to go unbroken on the snatches early, but after watching the girls go, we got a quick reality check. You need to just break it earlier than you think and just settle into whatever that break was. 4s, 3s, a mix of whatever, and just keep moving.
Absolutely. So with this event, you kind of knew what to expect. Weather, on the other hand, is something completely unknown, completely different. How do you mentally prepare for rain or changes in the workouts or anything like that?
Yeah, so I've been playing sports, not just CrossFit, for a really long time, and nothing's ever ideal, and you can't control the weather, so you just kind of got to roll with the punches. Sometimes it's not the best. Wet pull-up bars make it a little tougher, but everybody had a similar setting, so just deal with it.
Well, you know, honestly, you're a veteran. You handled it like a champ. Great job out there, and good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, China. I got to give you is this shaking out how you thought, Brian, with regards to what we're seeing happening here in heat number 2?
Yeah, actually, I'm curious of your perspective on this, Justin, because you know these guys really well. And when I saw this workout on paper, I thought it was the most, barring the handstand push-up technicality, which now we know is the way you want, was going to be one of the hardest ones to pick a winner for, because I could go down the list of those top 6 guys in this heat and tell you a reason based on their past performance why they could win this. You know these guys super well. They're all basically rep for rep here with, we're about halfway in the workout. And based on what you know about them, it feels like the better athletes historically in the back half should pull away. Anyone that you really see here?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I mean, you're seeing right now, I mean, you see Noah and Pat kind of right now kind of starting to separate themselves. I mean, they're 1 and 2 in the event right now, but I mean, you look at those guys' strengths and weaknesses, they're a little different. I mean, obviously Pat's still good at gymnastics, but like Noah, like with his handstand push-ups, like he's one of the best in the game. And I know Pat in the past, like he's not by all means bad at pressing, but that's not definitely his strong suit. So you see that like they're still number 1 and 2. And I thought looking at the workout was going to be a lot of like snatching. I think that was going to be kind of the thing that adds up, but
that's who I'm curious about right there, Adler. Because he has now shown us a few times over the last year or two that he'll do this, kind of lurk just behind and then make a move in the last third of the workout, which is something that you have often done en route to some of your best performances. We'll see if he can, because Vellner's maybe the best at the muscle-ups. Like you said, Noah's maybe the best at the handstand push-ups. So if you're going to catch those guys, you got to have an intention of doing it.
Yeah, and you see, like, you look at the last heat, too, with
Hoffer.
Hoffer winning that. I mean, you know, like those are 2 gymnastics known guys, and I think the people that can be the most efficient on those muscle ups and handstand push-ups puts them in a good position for like these snatches and stuff. To be able to move, be super consistent in them, and like going into the 8-minute mark in this workout, I think that's where you're really going to start to see some people drop off and some people like start to pull ahead. Like who picked that pace right, you know?
Adler, I'm sure it was intentional. I'm curious as to why. Had, relative to the field, a little bit more of a narrow grip on the barbell, like noticeably so, you know, where a lot of people were quite wide. And pros and cons to each, right? If you're going quite wide, yeah, I guess you don't have to get it, you know, it doesn't go as far overhead, but you have to bend over further. He didn't have to bend over quite as far.
Yeah.
Because he was in there. So I wonder if that was like a save my back kind of, even though I have to press it out a bit higher, maybe he thought that was a worthwhile trade-off in the long run. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see, for sure. I mean, he's probably like pretty excited coming up for that max deadlift too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That boy's a hoss. And I think Chandler Smith as well.
Oh,
he's north
sure.
of 600 pounds.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a show tonight. We always do Saturday night at Rogue, so definitely gonna see that. But I do think that this workout plays really well for Noah Olson.
Oh yeah.
We talked about Manu Nangonisa on the women's side. She did great on the snatching, pressing, and the ring muscle ups last year.
Yep.
He had the best combination of any of these athletes on those two last year, and the high rep gymnastics is one of his only event wins at the CrossFit Games with Mary. So he might, even though people know him to go out hot and sometimes fade, this particular thing kind of lines up for him across the board.
Yeah, no, especially looking at him right now. I mean, you can still see he's pretty composed, and every time he gets those handstand push-ups, man, he bangs them out super quick, no pause, and I think he's just still in that kind of good rhythm.
And Noah is keeping it Miami. You know, it doesn't matter that it's clouds, sunglasses are on. You know, looking good. Got to represent. They don't fall off in the handstand push-ups. That's when you know you're a veteran.
You were talking about this with some other athletes, Pat, on I think on the women's side, but there's old BKG.
Oh my goodness, man. That guy is just, you know, he's just so sneaky. He's not flashy. He's not loud. He just performs over and over again. He's made me look stupid so many years in a row as an analyst because I just never give him the credit that he deserves. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was last year at Rogue or something, we had some strict handstand push-up workout, and I think for most of the field, I mean, everyone was kind of breaking it up. That was the core of the workout. I'm pretty sure he did round 1, 30 unbroken, came back, and then did like 20-10 on the second half.
It was
just
the chipper.
Yeah, just smashed it.
And yeah,
so
he's actually got an incredible propensity on chipper workouts. It's like very, if there's any gymnastics in it, add to the mix. So I mean, that's what I was saying. Every one of these athletes has accolades to their history that should lend itself to a great performance here, but only one's going to take the win.
Yeah, and like you were talking about earlier, we were talking about just with a bunch of people saying that, like, it's cool about, like, with CrossFit, I feel like, is that you see an event like this and there's so many different athletes that could win. They'd be like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Pat or Noah or BKG or Adler, you know, like, that could win this event. Whereas, like, watching the strongman competition, it's pretty apparent, I think, about like the athletes that are going to do well in each event. Whereas you look at things like this, and I feel like there's always someone that can surprise you. You have someone from Heat 1 that maybe takes the full event.
Right.
So I think it's pretty cool to kind of have that unknown about, like, at any given time, like, there's going to be someone that kind of surprises you.
You know, we'll keep it cross since that's what we're watching, but I have to share with it because it's just so funny. We just spoke about, you know, big deadlifts and Chandler being north of 600 pounds and have had some of the world's best deadlifters on the show previously when we were watching the strongman stuff, and they were chatting amongst themselves and looking at me as if I had any reference with it. Like, you know, you're deadlifting, you probably won't belt up to around 800. Yeah. And I was like, right, yeah, of course. Yeah. Why would you belt up before 800? That makes perfect sense.
And last night we had Bridges on here, and he was actually a little surprised that the bigger guys kind of took it away last night with the ski and the dumbbell. And here you see most of the smaller guys lurking at the top, but here's Vellner kind of thread in the middle. Good last night, hanging at the top of this one, and obviously if you want to win across the competition, you got to be good across the board. So could be, the points are tight. Vellner was 13th on event 1, he's all the way up to 3rd. He could be looking pretty good after this.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think, I don't know if I remember the leaderboard, but Krennikov was in the lead, right?
Right here, yeah. Krennikov's in the lead, but just 20 points over Adler.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the bottom part of this event right now, and yeah,
the leaderboard's going to change.
Oh, especially with all the times from Heat 1 coming in too. I mean, it's going to be shaken up, and you see Adler too, kind of in the middle there. I mean, you never know if those Heat 1 times are going to come into play too. So.
And Vellner, you know, we spoke so many times in the past about he digs a massive hole that he has to, you know, climb himself out of. But now here he is entering the 3rd day of competition in 3rd. He's entering in a like, that's not this like I got to battle back into the top 10 again, then into the top 5. He's in a phenomenal spot, so he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and he could be quite a threat.
100%. I mean, you also talk about like guys that can deadlift, you know? I mean, he has a great deadlift too. I remember from the total at the games. I think he pulled 595, yeah.
And everyone's, why didn't you do 600?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't need to.
Yeah. I remember talking to him about it. He's like, dude, I honestly didn't know what weight was on the bar. I just kind of like put on 25s, and that's kind of what it was. So
I saw him post something the other day. You know, obviously he's also a dad. He said, work weekend for dad, and then his son is going and playing and doing this stuff. Is that a mentality that you guys have? You're like, this is work. Like, I'm coming here to work this weekend. Because I don't always think about it that way, but like, it's like everything is training and this is the job.
yeah, no, it's 100% that. I mean, I think we train all year and we get judged on these 2 or 3 days of competition. So I think it's really important for everybody for us to go out there and perform, and I think that's where all the pressure and everything comes in, because it doesn't matter how good training's going, how well everything's going, how hard you've been working if you don't show up on competition day. So I think it's at least for me, every time I step out on the competition floor, like it's looking to make a statement. It's looking to kind of be the best athlete I can be, for sure.
Hours and
like
days
this is
of
where you
work.
show it. I mean, you can post all you want on Instagram, but it doesn't matter until you kind of show it on the competition floor.
I'm going to mess it up. Usain Bolt has some amazing quote that's like, I trained 4 years to run less than 10 seconds.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. It's crazy. I mean, you got to show up on that
Right.
on that one race, you know.
We had Hoffer 16:36. These guys are getting ready for their last round, so that's what they're trying to reel in here. It looks like at least 3 of them are going to do that.
Yeah.
Olsen has had, just like Hoffer did, he had the lead early. He's kind of maintained that. We saw Tia do something similarly, and it's at this point, we're just like, I just need to make sure I stay ahead of that one guy, which is right now Pat Vellman.
And right now, Noah Olsen's sitting in 7th going into this event, but there's just not a lot of points between 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, 100 points in any given weekend is going to put you back into contention right away from where you're at. I mean, you never know when the guys at the top have a bad event, like you can kind of just skyrocket right back up, and that's why it's just so important to keep like,
everybody
chipping
can
away.
have a bad day or a bad event. Like,
exactly.
And this is what we even saw Ariel Lowen, great gymnast in her own regard, say the handstand push-ups broke down by the end. You mentioned it a while ago. Noah and handstand push-ups are basically synonymous. And he's been doing this out for the last 2 years. I mean, his base of fitness is so good that he can have all this fun in the midst of this just grueling, demanding test.
Yeah.
And so we're going to probably get a nice little celebration and interaction from the crowd here from Noah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. He did himself a lot of favors with this event. If he wins this event, which it looks like he will, not over yet.
Yep.
But this will be his first event win ever at the Rogue Invitational.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, Noah.
Soaking it in a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go. And I guarantee you he knows that.
Oh, yeah.
This is, because he knew it in Mary when he won his first at the games.
Oh,
and
for
he knows
sure.
it now.
Yep.
You know he knows that.
That's awesome.
A 100% veteran. That man's been around
Oh,
a
wow.
long time.
There it is.
There he is. I mean,
coming
my
in.
goodness.
Yep.
And that's about 13 seconds
just
ahead of
snuck it in.
Hoffer. Pat's actually battling right now against Hoffer, 16:36. I think.
Oh.
Wow.
That's going to be
doesn't
close.
know it.
Oh, Hoffer got him by maybe a second there.
We've got some leaderboard changes about to happen. This is what makes it just so exciting. We got so much CrossFit left here.
And those guys were a full round ahead of the rest of the heat. Like, that was very good.
Yeah.
Jay Crouch will take 5th overall, so that's just like on the women's side. 3 from this one, 2 from the first heat. And once again, at the Rogue Invitational, you're going to get great performances from athletes every heat, every event.
Let's get a boot all over that board.
And it's just like, you know this too, Justin, from the last 2 years. There's this duel looming. There's this elimination event.
Yep.
Margins for error are small.
Oh, 100%.
And anything can happen.
Yeah.
We don't even know what the workout is,
No.
and I'm already excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're always like that sub 1 minute workout where if you get a no rep or whatever it may be, I mean, it's just so costly that you can't make it up. Especially if you get cut early on it, you don't get that fighting chance to kind of fix it in the later rounds.
Has that ever happened to you in one of the elimination events? The speed skill medley or one of the duels, anything like that?
Man, the dual events, I think the past couple of years at Rogue have been one of my best finishing events because, I mean, for one, I think it's like one of those events that's so unique. I mean, it's so fun, and especially be able to, it's like one of those few times that you get to see athletes kind of go out and do the same workout again, and you kind of see how they can fix those things, find out ways to shave off another second or two, and I think that's one thing that's really cool that I don't think a lot of people notice about those workouts is see that every time, like obviously the faster athletes are staying, but even the fastest athlete in round 1 is still figuring out how to shave off time and get faster when you do the workout 3 or 4 times back to back to back.
Well, and I think you've actually done quite well on those events just in your career so far. But there's been like the best in the games that have sometimes missed out, and then you just see them on the sideline just fuming.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh, I wish I was.
So,
out
it
there.
wasn't a fitness thing. It was it was a pacing thing, like a technicality, which I think those hurt a lot worse than just being like, I wasn't
just
fit
some
enough.
like accuracy, but like something just missed a little bit, and the barbell went down. You're like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the hardest thing for me in competition is like when you have a bad event because of like a no rep or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I was physically capable of doing really well in this event, but just because of a mistake now, my finish is not going to be well, and I think that's so transparent in that event.
We got a lot of people coming in ahead of Roman here.
And think about this, Vellner and Adler 1 spot away in this heat. There were three people in between them from the previous heat.
Yeah.
So it looks like a small, that's 20 points.
Yeah.
Vellner was, they were tied coming in here. So Vellner, I think, is going to surge to be a leader here.
That's going to be awesome.
Changing of the guard, heat, event by event on the men's side. And Roman Krennikov, time cap.
Yeah.
So big swings, as we're accustomed to seeing. And Noah Olson, first event win at Rogue. I'd love to see that.
Oh yeah,
You know,
congratulations
it might be
to
his
Noah.
last time we see him as an individual. You never know, so very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kiki will eventually catch up with him as the Event 4 winner. Man, what a great, make your money when you can. Played out really well for him. As you said, one of the best in the biz when it comes down to some of these movements.
And going against us, just like a crazy good heat, it's one of those things where you might know you're great at something, but I think that throughout the entire event, you're still like, is someone coming? Like, someone's got to be coming, right?
100%.
And his very first ever event win at Rogue. I mean, again, what a way to maybe just send off, his competitive career, if that's, the decision that he chooses to make. Very, very happy for him. And Kiki Dixon has Noah Olson down there on the field, your winner from event number 4.
Winner of the Rogue Invitational for Noah Olson, and he is with Kiki Dixon.
Noah, you were tired as an individual, but here we are. What happened?
My friend Christine the other day said we could probably frame this as an encore. I don't know if you guys wanted more, but I'm here one last time, last hurrah before switching over to teams.
You look like you were having so much fun on the competition floor. What did you love about this particular event?
That's what I'm trying to do all weekend because this is kind of a bonus for me. I just want to enjoy it all, have a lot of fun, take advantage of the events that I can do well on, and just played my game there. It worked out in my favor, and I'm a pretty happy puppy.
Congratulations on your first event Rogue win.
I'll take it. Let's go. Woo!
Man, Noah Olson's been around for so long, such a great guy. I'm very happy for him to close out like that. And that's classic Noah. The guy's been a beacon of positivity also on the competition floor. So we're finishing up with event number 4. We got a lot of competition left, but closing thoughts for you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, the guys put on a show, the women put on a show. Great performances from both heats, and I think quite frankly, we're only getting started. We're not even at the halfway point of Rogue in terms of events.
And, Justin, you've been here a couple of times, won the whole thing. If you were there right now, again, we got a lot of events ahead. What would you be doing both physically and mentally to have the best rest of Saturday as possible?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like Brian said, it's like we're not even halfway yet, I mean, there's still so many points. It's like if you have like an awesome finish an event, like obviously celebrate it, enjoy it, but like, hey, job's not done yet, and I think you got to use like an event win or something like that to kind of fuel you to keep going and stay hungry. But also if you have like that bad event, it's like, okay, like we aren't halfway yet. Like there's still a lot of points to be made up, and you still have to take it event by event, and like the events have been awesome so far, but we got a lot of fun ones coming up.
We certainly do. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Certainly appreciate your insight here at the desk. For everybody at home, we've got plenty of competition remaining here Saturday at the Dell Diamond. For Brian Friend and Justin Medeiros, I'm Pat Sherwood. Don't go too far. More Tailgate coming up later.